Let me take the other side partially. I think you're mostly right. I would never join a public company board that I did not own a significant piece of.
Right.
And I have never.
Right.
Now, the reason to be on a public company board is that unlike a private company, the single biggest advantage, there are many disadvantages of being public, but the single biggest advantage of being public is that you have a lower cost of capital. So if you have an ambitious company, an ambitious leader, and an ambitious plan to build and compound value, you cannot do it privately forever. You must do it in the public markets because there's just an infinite amount of capital that's available and an infinite amount of ways in which you can raise capital relative to you being private. So with that being said, when you are public, I think the best boards are the ones that are sort of 50-50 split between the biggest shareholders and people who are very much experts in a handful of things. And I just want to be specific. In a public company board, you have to have a lot of focus these days on things like governance, audit, because you have to attest to these financial statements, right? Cybersecurity becomes a huge one because you have to disclose these risks. And so I think that it really behooves boards to have a few experts who can chair those committees. Compensation tends to be another one, as David mentioned, that can be a real hot button. But there are experts you can find. They're not going to own a large piece of the company, but they're going to do a really good job of managing those things. That minimizes risk for the business so that then the rest of the board, which are the large shareholders, can really use their influence and strategic understanding of the business to build huge equity value. When those things come together, you have great outcomes. But I really agree with you. If you stack the board, and we've had this issue. Public boards in America got perverted over the last few decades to being these little badges of status that people would collect. And now, we're starting to see a real pushback on what's called overboarding, right? Where these distinguished folks will pick up 5, 6, 7 boards. All of a sudden, that's the fastest way to make $3, $4, $5, $6 million a year. How can you sit on 5 or 6 public company boards? It's impossible and add any value.
Exactly.